College football is just one of those sports where you take what you think you know and you throw it out the window. And that was definitely the case this Saturday, guys. Week 8 of college football, where we saw 6 top 25 teams go down and a handful of other elite contenders survive major upset scares. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad you could join us today, ready to break down our Week 8 recap. All of the action this last Saturday compiled into one video, getting you ready now for Week 9, which will be the last weekend of October and the last weekend of college football before the first set of college football playoff rankings. And that's, of course, where things are going to get real. Before we jump into the in-game action, we're going to take a look at our big board over here, where we are once again killing it with these expert picks. We can't stress it enough, guys. The expert picks, that's where you win. Forget your other handicappers. Forget your fancy models. Forget your things like that. You're not going to find anything that's on a 49-22 run over the last 7 weeks. You're not going to find anything that is hitting 62.7% of the bets on the year. You're not going to find anything that's hitting 72% in our best bets college football section. This is the place for you. 6-4 week against the spread. Could have nearly been 7-3. Thank you so much, Washington State, for getting that backdoor cover. Really, really appreciate that. But 6-4 this week, another winning record here at the Gridiron Expert. 52-31 on the year against the spread. Again, if you haven't signed up, you're truly missing out on some big-time winnings. Go sign up for those picks a day, a full year-long subscription. If you like the money line a little bit better than the spread, yeah, we're killing it there too. 20-6 on the money line this week. Straight-up picks, of course, 76.9%. Brings our overall record to 271-63 on the year. That's 81.1%. Hitting over 81% on the money line, over 62% against the spread, 49-22 run the last 7 weeks, 72% in our best bet section. Once again, go sign up, become a member of our GE Nation, help us reach our goal by season's end. Be the best decision you make all season long. So let's dive into the recap. Let's dive into the action from Saturday. And the day kicked off with the biggest game of the day. And it was kind of a shame that it did, right? This number 3 Ohio State, number 7 Penn State matchup felt like it should have been a prime time matchup, not the 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff. It's very frustrating getting a game like that so early. But ended up being a pretty solid matchup. All in all, Ohio State winning 20-12 over the Nittany Lions, winning their 7th straight over Penn State. Penn State under James Franklin just can't seem to get over the hump. They beat them back in 2016, turned the program around, got them back on the map, haven't won since. So Penn State, very talented team. Backs are now against the wall. To keep their playoff hopes alive, they're going to have to beat Michigan in Happy Valley here in a few weeks. That game will be massive. But you know what? I want to point out something real quick. We said Ohio State would win. We told you Ohio State would beat Penn State. And we told you that Kyle McCord would throw for 300 yards in the game. And y'all all thought we were crazy. I was ridiculous. McCord, 300, not a chance. Threw for 286. So yeah, didn't hit 300, but he came really dang close. One completion away from hitting 300. We're going to count that as a victory on our end. 286, we said 300. We said he'd pick apart the secondary. That's exactly what he did. Marvin Harrison Jr. breaking the game open for Ohio State, really putting it to bed with about 4 minutes left on that 18-yard touchdown to cap off an 11-reception, 162-yard day. It's absolutely ridiculous. The Penn State defense had been strong all year long, had no answer for Ohio State's offense. And Ohio State defense really was the storyline that we're not talking nearly enough about. Held Penn State to just 240 yards on the day and outgained them by 125 yards. This was a very, very dominant performance from Ohio State. Strong defensive battle on both ends. The Buckeyes once again prevailing 20-12. That one extra touchdown for Penn State coming late in the game when it seemed to kind of already be put to bed. Ohio State's schedule very favorable going forward from here on out up until the game. Season finale against Michigan, a game that may not only be determining who wins the Big Ten East, but who gets into the college football playoff between those two programs. So very, very exciting times coming up in the Big Ten East, but Ohio State prevailing over Penn State, again, 20-12 in what was the biggest game of the week, but maybe didn't necessarily live up to the hype that we hoped. How about Oklahoma? We talked about upset scares. The 6th-ranked Sooners surviving UCF in the Dillon Gabriel game. Dillon Gabriel used to be the quarterback for the Knights, then transferred to Oklahoma. The Sooners prevailed 31-29, stopping the Knights' 2-point conversion attempt with 1:16 left. Dillon Gabriel, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception against his former team. Oklahoma guys trailed by 6 at home entering the fourth quarter, 23-17, but ended up retaking the lead with about 9 minutes left, never gave it back up. Big time scare for the Sooners. Not really sure what happened there. Credit to UCF for giving it their all, but Oklahoma remaining undefeated, remaining in the top 10, remaining the favorite in the Big 12. Want to give a quick shout out real quick to my guys over at Rutgers. My man DM, my friend Will Liu. Congratulations. My man Comic Dude 45. Congratulations to Rutgers, who is now 6-2 following their 31-14 win over Indiana. The Scarlet Knights are going bowling legitimately, truly earned that bowl berth for the first time since 2014. They're 6-2. It's their best start since 2012. Unbelievable job by Greg Schiano turning this program around. They were left for dead. He came in and has rebuilt them. Rutgers will be in the postseason come December. Couldn't ask or think of anything better. The Scarlet Knights have a chance to continue to add on to their win total, but the schedule gets very difficult. Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State, and Maryland all on deck for the rest of the year. Even if they lose out, though, it doesn't matter. Rutgers clinched a bowl berth, and that is pretty dang exciting. So congratulations to all of you guys. Can't wait to watch them in their bowl, whatever they may end up later on in December. Down in Tuscaloosa, we saw a great game between Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama needing a major second half to defeat the 17th ranked Volunteers, actually shutting out Tennessee 27-0 in that second half. And to me, guys, this truly was a game of two halves, right? First half, dominated by Tennessee. Volunteers up 20-7 entering halftime, held Alabama to 138 yards and 2 turnovers in that first half. It looked like Tennessee might maybe blow out Alabama in Tuscaloosa, or at least pull off the win. They were looking really, really good. But then, the second half came around. Good coaches and good teams make adjustments. They find ways to win. That's what Alabama did. On just the second play out of halftime, the second play of the second half, Alabama scored on a 46-yard touchdown bomb from Jalen Milroe. They held Tennessee to 119 yards of offense in the second half and had that major scoop and score off of Joe Milton to really, to me, put the game away. Tennessee, you can't help but wonder for them. Solid first half performance. They led 13-0 at the end of the first quarter, but they were held to 2 field goals. 2 field goals, one they attempted from the Alabama 6, the other from the Alabama 8. You can't help but wonder what would have happened had Tennessee scored touchdowns within the 10-yard line. What happens if they score touchdowns there instead of field goals? They probably end up winning the game and not losing 34-20. So a painful, painful loss for Tennessee. Kind of a shoulda, woulda, coulda type of moment for the Volunteers. But Alabama prevails. Good teams do find a way to win. They get their revenge over Tennessee following last year's heartbreaking thriller in Knoxville. And now Alabama enters their bye week, getting ready for LSU to kick off November, a game that very well could and probably will determine who wins the SEC West. So exciting times ahead in the SEC. But Alabama getting a win over Tennessee by 14 points in a game that to me was probably a little bit closer than that final score indicates. Again, truly a tale of two halves, no doubt about it. Want to, take a little shot at our officials here. Look, people miss calls. People, the referees are not going to be perfect, and you can never, I think, fully blame a loss or a win on the referees. We just have seen some poor officiating all year long, and I saw 2 horrendous calls on Saturday that just made my blood boil. The first coming in Iowa City, Iowa hosting Minnesota. Minnesota ultimately won 12-10 because the referees claim that Kluper DeJean had a fair catch, and he called the fair catch. Waving your hand, I guess, like that, kind of signaling to his players to stay away, to not do this, whatever, is currently called a fair catch. The ball bounced near the sideline. He fielded the punt. He got hit, had a remarkable punt return for a touchdown with about a minute and a half left in the game that was going to give Iowa the victory over the Golden Gophers. But because they called it back due to the fair catch call, Iowa did not get that touchdown. They threw an interception on the potential game-winning drive. And Minnesota clinched their first win at Iowa since 1999. So a very controversial finish between the Golden Gophers and the Hawkeyes. Minnesota escaping, which was going to create chaos in the Big Ten West. But I really think that was a really, really bad call in that game for Iowa. That was a heartbreaking way to lose. A remarkable punt return, one of the best of the year, taken off the board because of a fluke call, ridiculous call. It shouldn't have even happened. Then I saw another horrendous call. Texas surviving Houston. Texas was dominating Houston. A lot of the Cougars come back into it. The Cougars were given a horrible spot on their run on 3rd and 1. Clearly had the first down. They marked him short. The Cougars obviously had to go for it, down 7 at the Texas 10-yard line with a little over a minute left. And instead of running the ball again, they opted to pass. Pass fell incomplete. Houston loses. Texas survives on the road with a 7-point victory. Who knows what would have happened had Houston gotten the first down? Maybe they should have just run on 4th down anyways. But he clearly had the first down yardage. It was a terrible, terrible spot. And ultimately cost, in a way, Houston the game in that one, losing it 31-24 to the 8th-ranked team in the entire country. Speaking of stunners, speaking of, shocking games, massive upsets, things like that. Virginia, man. How about the Cavaliers taking down number 10 North Carolina 31-27 on the road? The first ever road win against a top 10 team for the Virginia Cavaliers. What are you doing if you're North Carolina? Legitimately, what are you doing? You are the 10th ranked team in the country. You have won 5 of your 6 games by double digits. You're at home against a 1-5 Virginia team that you were 24-point favorites against. A 1-5 Virginia team that didn't really blow William and Mary out of the water, lost to James Madison earlier in the year, got torched against Tennessee, and yet North Carolina goes back to their old ways. Last year, they were riding high, blew that 17-0 lead to Georgia Tech. An inexcusable loss for Mac Brown, the Tar Heels. This year, it's Virginia. So every year for North Carolina, it seems that they're going to fall to an inferior opponent that's going to completely ruin their season because the Tar Heels guys had a very favorable schedule coming up. This is a team that we thought might be 9-0 with 3 weeks left to play and a legitimate college football playoff contender. Well, you can kiss those playoff hopes goodbye after this abysmal loss to Virginia, where they allowed 436 yards to the Cavaliers, including 228 rushing yards, blowing a 10-point third quarter lead and allowing the game-winning touchdown with a little under 9 minutes left. Unbelievable, inexcusable, downright embarrassing for you UNC fans. I truly do feel for you. I mean, this was a game that we all thought they'd coast in. They torched Miami last week. They torched Syracuse. They torched Pittsburgh. They beat South Carolina early in the year. And then 1-5 Virginia strolls into town. Has hardly been competitive this year, and you lose. Just shocking. You lose to the worst team in the ACC. So, horrible, horrible, horrible loss for North Carolina. Shocking loss for North Carolina. But congratulations to Virginia. You deserve to win. You got the win. Probably still won't be going bowling sitting at 2-5, but you can hang your hat on that. And that's a program building and defining win in the young tenure for Tony Elliott. So, congratulations to the Cavaliers. How about sticking over in the ACC? Florida State surviving number 16 Duke 38-20 in a game that was much closer than the final score indicated. Duke guys led that game 20-17 at halftime and 20-17 midway through the third quarter until Riley Leonard left with an injury. I think if Duke scores in the red zone midway through the third quarter, I'm not saying they win, but this game comes down to the final few minutes. They're midway through the third quarter. They're driving in the red zone inside the 10-yard line. Riley Leonard goes down with an injury. They have to sub in their quarterback, Henry Bailey, in the fourth. And Florida State stops Duke. 4th and 3 from the Florida State 4-yard line. Duke opts to go for it, not kick the field goal. Seminoles get the stop and then scored a touchdown on their next 3 possessions to ultimately win 38-20. So this was a very, very close game. To me, a very impressive performance from Duke, considering the game was on the road. No one was giving him a chance. You can't help but wonder what the final outcome could have been had Riley Leonard not gone down. But again, credit to Florida State. Starting slow, finding a way to battle back, remaining undefeated, remaining in the college football playoff hunt. They did win by 18 points, but the score a lot closer than indicated, than it really shows. And then finally, maybe the best game of the day. Number 14, Utah, stunning number 18, USC, 34-32, handing the Trojans not just their second straight loss, but ultimately ending their college football playoff hopes. Look, this is a Utah team that, after the game, announced that Cam Rising, their star quarterback, will not play the rest of the year. He has not played all year long. He will not play at all this year. They've been playing with backup quarterbacks all year long, and yet they are still just a one-loss team, should find themselves in the top 10, are not just legitimate Pac-12 title contenders going for their 3rd straight conference title, but are college football playoff contenders. This was an unbelievable game. 34 points in this matchup against USC, matching their season high all year. And that match came like last week when they played California and dropped 34. And you knew we were going to be in for a fun game. We had questions about Utah's offense. Yeah, they scored on the 3rd play of the game. So you knew they weren't going to struggle to score in this one. They could keep up with USC. And with Utah's defense, the way they've been playing all year, we might be in for a dogfight. And that's exactly what we had. Utah led 28-14 in the third quarter, but then found themselves trailing 32-31 with just a minute 46 left. And then Bryson Barnes, talk about a legacy game. Cool as a cucumber, leading his team down the field, 235 yards and 3 touchdowns on the day. Had a massive 26-yard run to set the Utes up into field goal range. They drilled that field goal, beat USC by 2 points on the road. They beat them last year in Salt Lake City, beat them again in the Pac-12 championship game to ruin their playoff hopes then. Now they storm into the Coliseum and ruin their playoff hopes for the second year in a row, and they did it on their home turf. I mean, what a game, what a win for the Utes. Shorthanded all year long, continuing to defy the odds. And guys, the Pac-12, to me, that's got a lot more interesting. Utah plays Oregon next week. That's going to be huge for the standings. Washington beat Oregon the last week, but didn't look all that great against Arizona State, surviving an upset scare there. So you got Utah legit. Washington's legit. Oregon's legit. These are all teams that could vie for the college football playoff here. Watch out for the Pac-12. Things are going to be fun going down the stretch, and you can thank Utah for that, upsetting USC for the second year in a row. Crazy stuff happening out west. But there you have it, guys. Week 8. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Again, take what you think you know, throw it out the window, get rid of it. This is college football, baby. This is what we live for. Week 8 was great. Week 9 might be a little bit more lackluster, a little bit more calm. But like we said, it's the calm before the storm. Because once we hit the month of September or November, once we hit those college football playoff rankings, everything changes. And things always get wild in November. So buckle up. It's about to get wild. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including these expert picks right here. 49-22 run, 52-31 on the year, killing it on the money line, killing it against the spread, just like we did last week. That's what we've done all year long. Do not miss out. Go sign up for these picks today so you can take advantage of our Week 9 picks and really the picks for the rest of the year. Don't miss out. Full year-long subscription. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.